And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I really like Eldritch Horror, and today we're taking a look at the new expansion, or I guess it's not that new now, but the Dreamlands. If there's one thing where the bad guys can get you, it's in your dreams. We know this from horror movies and such, and that's what this game is about. The monsters in this game are not so much big, nasty, gotta beat 'em up monsters. Well, one of them is. But they're more like they're going to get you in your dreams, and they're going to come after you. Ooh, and you're going to go to other worlds. I mean, you already were going to other worlds in Cthulhu and Eldritch Horror anyway, but this kind of has more of a focal point on that. It has an extra board that you'll use in some situations. Let's take a brief look at the contents inside. Okay, so there is two new ancient ones added in this game. There's first Atlak Nacha, the Dreamweaver. He can even show up and fight you at certain points. He's kind of a very straightforward type of monster. He's going to be spawning gates after gates after gates. In fact, if he shows up, he's just going to start shooting gates all over the board. And if there's too many, instead of moving the Doom track and too many gates, and players will lose. You can go fight him, but you have to solve 3 mysteries first. He's a fairly straightforward monster, but meets the dreaming theme. Now, even more so is Hypnos. Hypnos is the other main monster in this set. And when you play with Hypnos, you're going to use this board. You also use this board if you use the Otherworldly Dreams, which can go with any monster. And in fact, if you use the Otherworldly Dreams, you also will use a set of adventure cards that comes with the game, and you'll go through these one at a time. And it's very fun. It's like a very straightforward, you turn this over, you complete it, you follow the story, and you'll do each of these adventure cards. This board is like every other sideboard that comes with Eldritch Horror. You don't have to use it unless you're using Hypnos or this Prelude card. By the way, I'm assuming that people watching this have already seen a lot of the expansions from Fantasy Flight, but there are now Prelude cards. You shuffle these, draw one at the beginning of the game, and it kind of gives you some sort of disadvantage, advantage. It gives it a kind of a focus to the game or an extra mystery. I guess you could also just pick one that you're going to follow too. But anywho, you're going to, this world here, first of all, you have the Enchanted Wood. Whenever a player takes a rest action and they pass, they can spend a clue token or test, and there's a chance that they'll show up in the Enchanted Wood, which lets them move around here. There's also things that will allow portals to show up on the main board, and you'll connect that portal to a location, and now you can go to the Moon Alice, or to the Underworld, or to the Unknown Kadath. So you can go to these locations here. And the game also comes with gates and clues that are going to match these new locations. Now, Hypnos himself is a very interesting character. He comes with his own set of city cards and clue cards, the City Wilderness Sea cards, which are very interesting, but he also has special clue cards. There's different types of these. These are Dreamland Special Encounter cards. And when you go to one of these cards, they're complex encounters, and it will tell you some dream that you're having. Okay, you gotta. And then if you pass it, you go here. If you fail it, you go here. And then you pass or fail each of those. And these are all kinds of dreams. If you ever had like a nightmare or some sort of dream, there's a good chance one of them is described in this setting. So that's kind of all about him. In fact, you don't even fight him at the end. You basically are encountering those dreams and solving mysteries. There are some monsters included with this game. Not a ton of monsters, some big epic monsters and some regular monsters. Here we got the Ravenous Gug, the Carrier Nightgar, Zoog, Dimensional Shambler, Long Spider, and the Moon Beast. So some, basic enemies. And it also comes with some more stuff to add to the game. So there's more of all the different cards that players are going to have. And of course, they add different things. I like this one here, where it's work to the brink. The lead investigator loses all but 1 health. And if you lost 5 or more health, he gains a talent condition. So that's interesting. They also got more cards that can be shuffled into all the different decks of Eldritch Horror, as well as new things that will happen at the new locations on the sideboard, which you will use for that. There's also all sorts of cards. There are some new spells in the game. Summoning, which lets you move a monster. Find a gate. This one's interesting because you can play, when you cast this spell, you'll play with the top gate of the gate deck revealed. That's actually kind of a theme in this one. There's other things that will allow you to see which gates are coming up. A dread curse. Here you can really just wail on someone. We got more items in the game. A dream box, skeleton keys, enchanted bow, a police raid, a camera. Because why not? When you spend a clue, you can gain a clue. That's a pretty neat thing to have. Quick study, visions. These are new conditions that players can get. Of course, there's still dark pact, hallucinations. So there's all sorts of new items and things that can be added to the different decks. And if you don't have the focus action yet, that has come in many of the expansions, you have these new focus tokens, and you can spend these and get these tokens and use these in the future. Focus is something that was added in one of the first expansion token. I don't remember which expansion that focus was added in, but you can spend these to re-roll dice when you resolve a test. That's pretty much it. Most of the rest of the stuff is involving the 2 new monsters. Oh, and I guess I should mention the new characters. So here they are real quick. Amanda Sharp can discard talent conditions to improve skills. And whenever she improves a skill, she can get talent. So if you like the talent cards, she's the person you're going to want to use. This guy here, does he start with the camera? He does, which is kind of a cool thing to have. And he can look at the asset deck and put them back in any order. So he has a chance to get the assets that you need. Gloria Goldberg gets a tome asset. The Kate Winthrop, the scientist, if she's on a space with a gate, she can get rid of a monster with toughness level than her eyeballs, which starts at 4. Increase that, and she can be very powerful. Luke Robinson can move to a gate that corresponds to the current omen, and he can spend a focus or sanity encounter a gate into spaces if there were no monsters there. So that's neat. He kind of ignores monsters. Vincent Lee, the doctor, gets rid of those injury cards. That's pretty handy. Carolyn Fern, the psychologist, gets rid of the madness cards. They're kind of one. And then the Gravedigger. Why is he around here? Well, he can discard 2 cards and to take an extra action. And when he beats a monster, he gets a non-service asset of your choice from the reserve. So that's kind of neat. So there's these different characters also included with the game. At this point, there's so many characters, I'm not sure how anyone picks what characters they're going to use. Now, before we get to the positives of this game, this expansion, there's a few negatives. I thought the rules weren't written as clearly as they could. There's some funky stuff happening here with the Dreamlands, especially, and I just thought that they could have been a little clearer on that. And I think sometimes rules almost take for granted that you already know everything about the other expansions, which is possibly true. Like, I can't imagine this is the first expansion anyone's buying. The other thing is, and maybe this is just me, this doesn't feel like a big box expansion. It feels like a small box with a little bit more than a small box has. Now, that might be incorrect. I haven't compared the numbers of the cards to what comes in the other big box expansions. I'm just saying it feels that way because a small box expansion, last one, Cities in Ruin, felt like it added a whole lot of cool stuff to the game. This one adds a lot of cool stuff, but it feels like it's almost the same with just the extra board and things like that. I don't mind the extra boards in Eldritch Horror because you only use one at a time. And this one, the Dreamlands, I'm tempted to play with this one more often than not. I really like those dream encounters. I'm not a huge Cthulhu fan, right? This whole that sort of thing doesn't get to me. But the dream cards in here almost feel like they're from a different thing. They're like these dreams, like you're in a dream and there's a giant and you have to wake the giant up by stabbing him in the ear, I think. Or, or you meet a family and they're all sitting there very, very happy and all of a sudden they all go crazy. That sort of thing is cool because it's like these different horrors that involve dreams. In horror movies, dreams are a pretty big deal. And in this game, I really enjoyed the stories of these dream cards. They're really neat. So if I can play against the Hypnos or just use that Prelude card that lets me play with that board, I'm pretty cool with that because I think that's a neat concept. He's one of my favorite bad guys to fight against because it's not so much about, hey, get the machine guns, let's go find him. It's more like, oh, this guy's in our dreams. We got to get him out. How do we defeat these dreams? And the moon being in space, I just think that sort of thing's cool. The new characters are cool. None of them stood out like that as an amazing character. But so this game really revolves around how much do you like that dream stuff. Well, as it turns out, it's one of my favorite mechanisms in the game so far. Just because of the pure theming of it, it felt slightly less Cthulhu, still horror-ish. But then again, I don't know a whole ton about Cthulhu. But this dream stuff is not as in many other games. But I think that the dream horror aspect of it, like the cover of here. I like that whole mystical, ooh, I don't want these dreams myself, thank you. But in the game, I think there can be a lot of fun. So this is a good expansion, a solid expansion. Doesn't really shake things up that much, doesn't seem to add a ton of content, but at the same time, the content it does add is something I'll play with. If you say right now, which bad guy do you want to play with? I might want to play with the Destroyer thingamabob from the Cities in Ruin, but I really like the Dream because I like the theming of those Dream cards. I find them entertaining and interesting. So anyway, that's what's in the Dreamlands expansion. Is this the last expansion for Eldritch Horror? Dice Tower Judgment. Excellent.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.